3, 2, 1.
Let's go!
I'm the host of the PBE podcast, Troy Tittlemeyer, sitting down. Image 2023. You heard it right, folks. 2023. I don't know what happened to 2021 and 22.
It's just gone.
It is gone. But here we are. The event, the vibe of this event, right? If we keep it in sound wave lingo, the vibe is high. The frequencies are good with these people around here. Like, there's so much technology.
Yeah.
And then this applied geosciences, right? And we're riding that razor's edge of this thing. And a quote from the CEO of Vecta, he told me, you know, if you're not riding life on the edge, you're taking up too much space, you know?
Yeah. I've been told I've taken up too much space too many times, but no, this is great. And coming away from COVID for the last 2 years, even last year, you know, there just hasn't been this kind of a turnout. So I think it's good to see the energy coming back.
Yeah.
The people coming back, and some of the old faces I haven't seen in 4 years, 5 years now.
Wow.
Seeing them again.
Isn't that nice?
It's great. Yeah. It is.
Something about seeing old friends, you just can't help but smile, you know?
That's we're getting the band back together, you know?
Yeah, we're coming, we're back. I like that, we're back. Well, let's rock it back. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? You know, I want to hear the whole story.
Holy cow. It's a long story, and normally it's told when you have a beer in your hand or something.
Right.
But, you know, my background has been mostly in operations. I've been fortunate to be involved in starting up companies, taking them public, working in public, and as well as large companies. But I guess actually started one with Peter Duncan, and that was a company we took public back in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, 3DX Technologies, where we were trying to combine various technologies. There, it was the emergence of 3D seismic, but putting together a whole story, and that creation of a complete understanding, a complete story is something that I have followed throughout my whole career. And most recently, I've been working closely with a group out of Korea and the South Korean government. And they asked me a couple of years ago if I could help them bring some of their technology into the energy industry. And Korea is great. I mean, but it's small. It's like the size of New Jersey, and it's very mountainous. And they don't have really any indigenous hydrocarbons at all in the country.
Whoa.
Yeah. But what they have is some really highly educated people, extremely great programmers, very hardworking, and they're great in technology. If you've ever been to the Hyundai shipyards, it's the most amazing place you ever want to see.
Just
largest
robots and technology.
Just amazing. And so they came to me, and I gave them some guidance on that. And this was several years ago. They asked if they could invest in some of the oil and gas things that we were doing, and we brought them into Midland, and this was the old Midland before fracking, and it was real successful.
Like?
Yeah. I mean, if we only knew, right? If we only knew, I would own all of Midland today, but unfortunately, I do not. But anyway, after that, the Koreans came back to me and said, "Hey, Doug, can you help us run operations in Iraq for South Korea?"
Whoa!
And so I was honored by the request. And you know, one day you're running operations for an offshore company you help start up, and now the next day you wake up and you're living in Dubai on the Palm Jumeirah and flying in and out of Baghdad. And that was really a great experience. I was the only sea-level non-Korean that ever existed in KOGAS. But ISIS came in, and after roadside bombs targeted me twice, and then having to fly Russian helicopters into the fields, we ended up shutting all that down. And then I moved over to Albania to try to clean up the corruption and the mafia influence in the oil fields in Albania. And
how the heck are you called for that? Like,
I had a military man with me, sort of as protection and guidance. You know, checking the car engine every day so it wasn't an explosive in it. But also bringing the U.S. Embassy, because it's nothing like walking into a meeting where you have just fired all the managers of
Oh
the
my
oil fields
gosh.
and their cousins, aunts, uncles, and
Oh
all
my
that.
gosh.
Was someone that says, hey, we own aircraft carriers and tanks and nuclear submarines and stuff. And so that really helped, and we did that for about 3 years. Came back to the States, and the Koreans came back again and said, hey, we got this technology. We're really working hard on the machine learning and the AI side of things. We're doing a lot of monitoring, but when I looked at what they were doing, they were monitoring manufacturing facilities around the world.
Okay.
You know, sneakers, TVs, and things like that.
Yeah.
But what I saw was they're monitoring motors and compressors and generators and the same things we have in the oil fields. Ours are all dirty, rusty, and oily.
Yeah.
And theirs are in air conditioned buildings and nice and shiny.
Yeah.
But it's the same stuff. And I said, you know, if we can bring this over here and all of their cloud expertise and IoT expertise, and then kind of blend it with some of the other things that are needed for oil and gas, like the volumetrics. So we had to bring in meters. So we did a collaboration with a group here in town called Microwave Precision Instruments, who's a provider of Krone meters, the best in the world. And so they provide us that. We formed another collaboration with Kuva Imaging for the methane cloud imaging.
Oh, wow.
And brought that in. And then we formed a relationship here with Microseismic, because Microseismics, they're the world leading subsurface continuous monitoring company, and we want to be the world's best surface monitoring company of continuous monitoring. And so now we're working together to solve the monitoring and verification and reporting requirements of the CCS industry with Microseismic. So we took this idea and the technology from Korea, and now we're growing it up to do not just energy, but a lot of environmental monitoring as well.
Yeah. Wow. Man, and you're doing it on how you describe the Korean workforce and their technology and just the hard work, their dedication to what they're making. So you're using something that's reliable. You know, it's built well.
Yep.
You know, you have confidence in what you're bringing, and that's the surface equipment. So your equipment is picking up on gases like CO2 and methane and
So we have what's great about IoT technologies is extremely scalable. I mean, you got SCADA systems, which have been around for 50 years, and they're fantastic. They're large facility control type of devices and technology. So if it's bad, you turn it off. If it's good, you leave it on type of stuff. What we do is we bring a level of intelligence that's a little bit above that, because we're using all of the historical data that's ever been collected. And the sensors can be off-the-shelf third-party sensors.
Wow.
So like I talked about with the Kuva, their imaging, I think, is the best. So why do I go and try to recreate that when I can bring their technology? It just plugs in.
Yeah.
Some of the sensors and stuff are made from our partners in Korea, but a lot of them are coming from Indonesia or Taiwan or in Korea, and then we add those and customize it to the challenges that our clients are facing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Well, let's. I gotta say it again. We gotta rock it back. Where are you from?
Oh man, I'm going way back. So I grew up in the Amish country in Pennsylvania.
No way, Lancaster?
Yeah, just at Berks County, which is the one county just north of it.
Right.
So there's a lot of cornfields and apple orchards.
Oh yeah.
Covered bridges, single-room schoolhouses. It was an innocence that it may still exist in some rural places like that. But there was no keys on doors. When you went on vacation, you told the neighbors, "We're gone. There's eggs in the refrigerator, some milk that still needs to be drunk, and go help it." Everything was delivered to your doorsteps. You had the milk come, the butter come, and then my dad in the back porch would have the beer come and the big tins of pretzels, right? And then the market guy would come by in his tractor with all the fresh produce on it, and you'd go out and pick up the corn or whatever vegetables you want. So, what a great way to grow up.
What a unique way.
Yeah.
What a unique way.
It was neat.
Wow. How many siblings?
So I've got an older sister and a younger brother.
Okay.
They still both live back in Pennsylvania. My sister lives in the house my grandmother built in 1962. And it's the house we went to every day after school because my mom worked a couple jobs and my dad was the town barber.
Is that right?
Yeah,
How about
we maybe
that?
had 2,500 people in the town. You know, it was small.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Man, that's a cool perspective.
But let me tell you how much of a country bumpkin I was. All right. So it comes times you grow up, you go to college. And the weekend after I graduate from college, I sell my motorcycle and artwork because I did a lot of artwork at the time. We bought tickets because my friend's aunt and uncle lived in Houston, and I've never been out of town. And I said, well, let's go. And so we came down here, and as a geologist, and started my career. But I got down here, and I never had Mexican food.
Whoa.
I never had fish, seafood type food. And so the first, this was at Bechtel. I was an engineering geologist for Bechtel. Was my first job. And we won a big project in Louisiana, and so we all went out to eat. We went to a famous Mexican restaurant that was off of I-10 that's now closed down. And I looked at the menu, and I'm going, what the hell is this stuff? I had no idea. I couldn't, if you asked me how to pronounce enchilada, I would have gone, I don't know.
Man.
And so I said, can you order for me? And so the first thing they bring out is a guacamole salad.
Nice.
And I've never seen anything that color green except for things that you did not want to eat. And I refused to eat it because I thought, you guys have got to be pulling my leg.
Yeah.
I'm a young kid. I'm just fresh out of the cornfields. And I said, no, I'm not going to eat nothing. My mom always said, if it's green, you don't eat it. That color green anyway. So, but it was just a different world. Man. Different world.
Now, you're coming out of undergraduate in geology.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your degree from?
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It's a small school outside of Pittsburgh.
Wow.
It drives my wife crazy. She's an Aggie, and everywhere we go around the world, you run into somebody from IUP, and I keep trying to tell her,
really?
It's the intellectual hub of the universe, but it's a secret. But anyway, so I did that, then moved on to Pennzoil, did my master's while I worked at Pennzoil.
Master's out of U of H?
U of H, yeah.
Okay.
And then went on and got my MBA in finance after that, yeah.
Wow. Really cool, really cool. You got a bachelor's in geology and a master's in geology?
I did my master's down at Clear Lake, U of H Clear Lake.
Okay, in geology?
Geology, yeah.
Right on,
and
cool.
Finance after that.
So your first job out of college was what again?
It was as a engineering geologist for Bechtel Engineers.
Drilling oil and gas wells or consulting?
This was all, mostly construction type engineering. So when they were looking at doing constructions of buildings, you'd go out and you would drill the, various bores and stuff to determine what the stability of the sediments were, and so it was more of that type of thing. And then I was encouraged actually by my manager because I think he knew that the nuclear power stations and stuff were all kind of going away. The big projects were all going away. And he said, hey, I know these people down in Pennzoil, it's a good friend of mine, and they're looking for someone to come down and help them. And so I walked down there, and they offered me the job during my interview, and that was the start of the oil business, and never looked back after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Son of a gun, man. They're really cool. So you get through working in oil and gas, learning more about the exploration side of things, the production side of things.
Yeah.
And you obviously have this natural affinity to the physics and the monitoring of the physics. Like this is a fluid flow line, there's gas flowing line, those are tanks, there's generators running this. You just, did you really pick up on that just naturally?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a giant puzzle, right? And I'm not good at a lot of things, but the one thing I feel I'm okay at is I'm able to visualize a problem and then break down that problem into the key components and then prioritize what's the key components that you have to deal with, and then you address them. And that's why I think it worked really good in Iraq. It worked really good in Albania. is, if you come in and you can get overwhelmed by all the challenges, and then you look around here, you got the carbon capture and you got deep water devices and all this. It's the challenges, and there's almost too many sometimes to comprehend, which is why you got to have good collaborations. But it's sitting down and looking at those challenges and breaking them apart and saying, here's what we got to address first, and that's kind of what I do.
That's what you specialized in.
Fix problems. Yeah.
Company after company, problems after problems. Yeah. Wow. How did you get in touch with Microseismic? How did you find about? How did Everaware become aware of Microseismic?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had a long time relationship with Peter Duncan, who founded Microseismic.
Yeah.
He was my partner when we founded 3DX back in the 90s. But
that's right.
I went my way, Pete went his way, and I watched him from the sidelines become a really successful businessman at Microseismic, and always kept track of what they were doing. But I was either running operations internationally for Devon, and then did the international work for Korea, and then from there did the international work for a partner there that said, before you leave Iraq, you come talk to me, and that was Transatlantic, and they had me going directly to Albania. But when I came back and started working again really closely with the Koreans on the monitoring technology, and I started saying, man, what a synergy we have here with what Peter's doing.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to Peter probably about, maybe it was 2 years ago now, and I said, look, I want to bring you up to date what we're doing. And so introduced them to the Koreans. The Koreans came over. They met with Microseismic as well. And we did see a really strong synergy. So that at that time we said, let's go ahead and let's form a formal relationship whereby you will become our experts for the continuous shallow monitoring, which we don't have. But it's such an easy add-on to our clientele, because some of the clients need the same monitoring we're providing, but now if it can be an add-on to what Microsoft is already doing, it makes a really kind of a good turnkey solution that isn't really offered anywhere else in industry.
What an opportunity, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting deal. So what was Peter like when you first met him? How did you guys meet?
Oh man.
Let's hear it.
So, wow. I'm telling you, we need beers, I swear. So Peter and I had a mutual friend, and I was a young up-and-coming geophysicist at this time, and really focused on the use of the emerging 3D seismic,
right.
and I guess became kind of good at it. And I was recognized by Landmark Graphics, who was the original seismic workstation for 3D.
Whoa.
By someone that was really good at using their work. And I think it's because I was an artist growing up, and that became my palette that I could paint on.
Whoa.
And I could see things in the seismic data.
Patterns.
Really, it was just pattern recognition. And Peter knew this guy because this guy was a salesman at Landmark, and he had a dad that was an oil and gas guy and said, hey, can you help us? And so Peter came in to provide the seismic acquisition and processing knowledge, and I came in and provided the seismic interpretation. So we got to be kind of a trio of friends. And then all of a sudden I get this call from Peter. He says, Doug, I want you to come work for me. and I'm at Pennzoil running their U.S. offshore. And I'm going, Peter, I got a good job. And I'm young, and I need to get the experience and all that. And so he'd go away. And then he'd come back and he'd say, Doug, I need you to work with me. And I said, why? And he said, I'm working with this group, and it's all retired Exxon research people, kind of the who of the exploration and production world at the time. Joe Richardson, which was chief geophysicist of Exxon.
Wow.
John Sangre, which is the Exxon sequence stratigraphy expert.
Wow. The
all
elite.
These people, the elite.
Yeah.
It was the A team, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the glassy-eyed. So anyway, I keep pushing him away, and then I get this one call, and it's like in the middle of the night, and it goes, Doug, it's Pete. Listen, I just won this big project in Korea, and the problem is, I made up all the names of the people that are going to work on it. Basically, maybe not exactly, but it's sort of that. And he said, I need you to come and do this.
Yeah.
And so I went to the president of Pennzoil, because we were right in the middle of the Texaco lawsuit at the time.
Whoa.
And nothing was happening. And I was down in the research department, and he said, Doug, man, I know these guys. These are the who's who.
Yeah.
Go work with them. And if it doesn't work, come back. No problem, no harm, no foul. And anyway, so I went with Peter. We did this offshore project in Korea. It was a massive undertaking. Went over there, proposed drilling wells. Then they asked us to manage the drilling of wells, and we drilled really basically the only indigenous hydrocarbons in Korea to this day in that basin. Yeah, Block 5-1. Or Block 6-1, yeah.
Gas play or an oily?
Just gas. None of it really economic. They did develop one that was an offshoot of what we were doing, but I don't think it ever was economic, but it gave the Koreans something to do. And that was maybe one of the reasons that the Koreans still had high regard for Peter and myself, and maybe really what started my relationship working with Korea.
Is that right? You can blame that on Pete, huh?
Oh yeah. If he's here somewhere, I'm sure.
Wow.
His ears are burning. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how do you come up with EverAware? How do you come up with this?
So when we formed the company between the partner in Korea is a company called Ulala Labs, and they're the specialists in data lake and IT and the big analytics and monitoring. And myself, we started it as a energy monitoring company. We called ourselves Show My Well, because you can go out and pull up your phone and look and see every day what's happening.
Wow, right on.
But then I found, as we were looking for financing and talking to other groups, particularly insurance companies, they said, well, you're an oil company. I said, no, we're a technology company.
Yeah.
We don't touch the wells. Oh, no, you're an oil company. We either don't have any interest in you, or we're not going to provide you any insurance, because you got to have blowout prevention insurance. You got to have all this. And I'm going, you guys are crazy. And then you start looking around the market, and you realize the importance of the environmental monitoring side of the business. And I said, we're going to rebrand ourselves. Mm-hmm. It was a good idea coming out, focusing purely on energy, but let's come out. And so I came up with the name EverAware, which is a lot more green, a lot more passive. And ever since then, we've really taken off. We're doing a fair amount of the environmental work. We're focused real heavily on the methane problems of the world, and we're going to be coming out with a really interesting and I think very unique platform, hopefully by late September, for clients to use for monitoring all their methane needs, and also for the methane requirements for validating your project for use in the offset carbon credit market.
Whoa! So this equipment has to be pretty proven stuff, right? Its ability to detect. Like, what kind of detection limits is it on this equipment?
And what's great about it is, most of the meters and sensors are smaller, about the size of your phone. Whoa. And you're talking about hundreds and a few $1,000s of cost, not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands for doing some of this other work. So it's
1,000 parts per million type stuff, or
so we measure. Our real time is we measure in 1 second intervals. You can actually go lower than that if necessary, but if you measure in real time, what's fascinating is if you sample a bit of data anywhere in the United States, West Texas, East Texas, South Texas, and that piece of data from, let's say it's a vibration sensor, it goes then to your edge computer and goes through your Wi-Fi and into your gateway and up to the cloud, and from the cloud it goes back down to your cell phone or to your iPad, and that whole process takes less than 1 second. So you're looking at data in the field, and it is truly real time.
Yeah.
And what it means is that right now you have pumpers and field staff that every day their responsibility is to go, I'm going to go to that well, and I'm going to go to that well, and then I'm going to go to that well.
That's right.
It's like what I refer to as the newspaper approach. When we were kids, you'd ride your bicycle, there's the same house every day. And on Sundays, if you paid 15 cents more, you got a fat newspaper, right? Well, it's the same process with pumpers. But now all pumpers have to do is open their phone,
right,
and they look and they can say, this well is performing perfectly within the normal range.
Right.
However, I'm getting alarms on this well because either the current's being drained too hard, or the motor's vibrating crazy, or there's other problems out there. And that's where I'm going to go focus my time.
Right.
And what it does is it allows people and companies to reduce their operating costs.
Big time.
Big time. I mean, big time.
Yeah, and the risk of it all. You're going out, you're driving that lease road.
Exactly.
And you're going out there to check on something that never needed to be checked on?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of waste is that?
And you've driven through Midland.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how those guys in the pickup trucks drive. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's a big risk reduction there as well.
That's the theme of this whole couple of days for me with Microseismic and their partnerships, and obviously this podcast. The idea of waste, the Railroad Commission was created because they said, you know what, there's too much waste going on here, guys. We need to regulate this.
Crazy.
And it's not just financial waste anymore. It's our time and our attention and our pumpers' time and attention. It's that waste is a problem. And these are the technologies that you can quickly now and efficiently and cheaply apply to your operations, save your pumper time. Right, he's happier that day. He's going, man, this was...
And a lot of the pumpers are contracts, right?
Yep.
So it means he can get more clients.
Right?
Yeah.
Full freaking circle right there. I'm going to tell every pumper I know. You guys got to just get automated. You got to get automated. You got to get fiber. You got to get these things.
All these things. And you hit it right. Become more efficient, do things more cost effectively, do things more safely, and you're arriving at the decision-making process much quicker than you have previously.
Wow.
It's a win-win. It's not...
Ever aware.
Yeah, there you go.
And you're just mastering that. You're just going all in on this surface monitoring. You're finding microseismic companies. You're finding other companies, I'm sure. You're aware of all these technologies. Yeah. Man, that's fascinating. Do you do a lot of publications? Do you do a lot of public speaking? Do you how does someone follow the story?
Yeah, I do a fair amount of speaking. I'm an editor for World Oil magazine. So
cool.
We just, in fact, in August, Peter and I put a publication out on the use of this for carbon capture and how it's creating a turnkey solution for operators. But yeah, so we started the company right towards the end of COVID, which was maybe not the best time, but that's when it all came together.
Yeah.
And so really, the last year we spent a lot of our effort focused on what I call proof of concept projects for companies, to better educate them on what we're doing. And we'll be doing a lot more of this type of the marketing efforts this year than we have in the past.
Great.
Yeah.
Right on. Now, so to end the show, I've learned a lot, and I appreciate your time. Honored to share this time with you and learn from you. And I imagine everyone here at this event, people that listen to this show, we're excited to go 40, 50 years into this career and do things like you, maybe I don't want to go international, but I don't know. Maybe I have the opportunity and you have all this synergy and it just works out and all of a sudden you do go international and you're chasing down these solutions to these real problems, right? And you're doing it, your track record, your proven career. What kind of advice or what kind of thing, what's important to the people that are hearing it and are doing it right now that you can maybe help them out if you think back to your own career 20 years ago and things you were worried about or stressed about, what kind of information can you share there?
Oh wow, that's a great question. One of the things is don't run away from a challenge. If the opportunity you're looking at, whether it's a new job, a new career, whatever, isn't a challenge to you, there's no chance for growth. Without challenge, there is no growth.
Whoa.
So that's what I try to. I talk to my kids about that when they're saying, "Do I change a job?"
Yeah.
Yeah. If you change a job and you're comfortable, that's a bad choice,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
You change a job that's going to challenge you, that's going to make you better, and so I guess I would say, don't run away from a challenge. Figure it out and make it work, and you are going to learn along the way,
Yeah.
and you're going to prove yourself. And people around you are going to go, that guy's valuable.
Yeah.
Because he fixes things.
Yeah.
He figures it out.
Yeah.
And so,
Man, I
don't
love
take
that.
the easy path.
Don't take the easy path, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Love that. Resonating very well. We'll do this. Encouraging quotes. I want to read some.
Oh, man,
and
please.
get your feedback on something here.
You got it.
Tell me when to
Standing by.
stop. Oh yeah, that was it. Oh man, this is great. Okay. Leaders inspire and teach their people to focus on solutions, not complaints. Were we just talking about this?
Isn't that it? That's it. That's what it's all about.
You've lived it. You've lived it. You know it's true. You know that's a truth.
Yeah, it's like when in Iraq, and I just real quickly.
Yeah, no,
so
please.
in Iraq, I was always like, okay, we're going to the field, and they're like, but you're a blue eye, right? That's what the Iraqis call me.
A blue eye.
And an American, which
Yeah.
in certain parts of the country is not, a trait that you really want to go in public and carry. But I tell them, if I'm not willing to get in that vehicle with all the armor protections and the M16 or the big machine guns in front or behind me,
50 cals.
or if I'm not going to get on that helicopter, which has got the gunman sitting right next to you, which is really cool when you're flying over the desert. They let you shoot it sometimes. But in the middle of this Russian-built shaky helicopter is the fuel tank. And you have to look over the fuel tank to see the people on the other side that are sitting on these little aluminum railings. But if I didn't do that, how could I ever ask someone to do it? Mm-hmm. The Koreans would have done it. If I would have said, because they're that type of people. Okay, we're going. But in the back of their minds, I know they'd be going, why the hell is he not going?
Yeah.
So you've got to take the leadership. You've got to show the path, and you can't be scared.
Sheesh. Woo! That's good stuff. Okay, leadership is not just about what you do, but what you can inspire, encourage, and empower others to do. So that's it.
What a great summary to our talk.
Right on. Right on. Doug, thank you so much for your time.
It was great.
Yeah,
really
enjoyed the heck
it.
out of this. Yes, sir. We'll see you around. We'll do another one of these days.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.